My message is the vaccines protect you, get vaccinated, and then live your life as if you're protected.
Governor Ron DeSantis makes moves to remove local coronavirus safety orders across the state. Local leaders weighing in as we are coming on the air.
But don't expect mask requirements to vanish at retailers or theme parks. While legal experts say they are well within their rights and what some attractions are already telling us about the immediate future.
And while the governor touts vaccine progress across the state, local leaders say the demand has shifted and not in the right direction that leads to herd immunity anytime soon.
Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
And we begin at 5 with team coverage of the governor's announcement. Our team is spread out across Central Florida right now to answer the questions you might have and to update us on how the state's vaccine rollout is shaping up. Tonight, Florida Republican Ron DeSantis says we are no longer in a state of emergency with COVID-19.
He signed an executive order immediately suspending all COVID-19 emergency orders issued by cities and counties and essentially eliminates all of them. WESH 2's Greg Fox leads off our team coverage live from the Orange County Administration Building where the mayor just spoke. Greg, did Mayor Demings talk about the governor's actions?
He did not. Remember, this news conference started promptly at 4:30 today. Literally, the executive order just dropped in my email inbox about 8 minutes ago. And so it really hasn't had a time to be digested by the mayor, had the legal team go through it. And so for all intents and purposes, it appears that the mandatory mask order in Orange County remains in effect, at least at this moment in time. This news conference is still going on, and we'll tell you more about that in a bit. But first, take a look at this. The governor made this announcement on the executive order to end all COVID-19 local emergency orders today as he was signing Senate Bill 2006. The measure takes effect July 1st and provides restrictions on future emergency orders by local governments. Critics say the timing is odd since the governor just signed an executive order last Tuesday extending the COVID-19 state of emergency another 60 days. The governor says this is about making sure local government leaders understand that the state is in charge in times of crisis, while Democrats say the governor and Republican leaders are overreaching in their attempts to suppress the rights of local mayors, chairs, and commissions.
You have a right to participate in society, go to a restaurant, movie, a ball game, all these things without having to divulge this type of information. And oh, by the way, you give that to big companies, they are going to absolutely try to monetize that. So we didn't want to go down that road.
Local elected officials are closest to the people. Every community is not the same, and preemption, including this situation, is not the way we want to go.
The state is also suing the CDC to allow the cruise industry to start sailing again from Florida ports. The governor disagrees with the industry's desire to require vaccine passports, and this bill outlaws that requirement again, effective July 1st. Again, that news conference here at the Orange County Administration Building is still going on. We'll have a complete update on this story on WESH 2 News at 6. Live in Orlando, Orange County, Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
Okay, Greg, thank you. Now, despite the governor suspending all remaining local COVID-19 orders, you may still see some local mandates applied inside of restaurants and other businesses, including theme parks.
WESH 2's Megan Mulatto is in downtown Kissimmee with that part of our team coverage right now. So, Megan, what exactly are business owners telling you right now?
Well, some business owners that we spoke to in downtown Kissimmee tell us they're going to continue requiring customers to wear face masks in their stores. Others we spoke to say they're just going to encourage them. Avila's hair studio, for example, will still be requiring the use of masks because the owners there say the safety of their clients and staff is most important. Local business attorneys say they're legally allowed to do that. They're also legally allowed to get rid of masks altogether.
They're private corporations, so they're entitled to make the rules, just like any restaurant that says no shirt, no shoes, no service. They're entitled at this point in time to say no mask.
That's because they say customers are invitees.
Guests are considered invitees. And an invitee is essentially someone who comes onto the property at the invitation of a landowner. And so stores such as retail stores and restaurants are public venues where a property owner invites customers onto their property.
We reached out to attractions like Gatorland, Old Town, and Fun Spot. All three parks are reviewing the governor's announcement before making any changes. Old Town added masks are still required inside stores. We also reached out to Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld, but haven't heard back. Now, officials with Main Street Kissimmee tell us they do have a board meeting tonight where they may discuss how they think the small businesses on this strip should move forward. Live in Kissimmee, Megan Mulatto, WESH 2 News.
Today, President Biden touted vaccination progress and predicted a return to some normalcy.
I think by the end of the summer, we'll be in a very different position than we are now. As you know, I've worked very hard to make sure we have over 600 million doses of vaccine. We're going to continue to make sure that's available. We're going to increase that number across the board as well, so we can also be helping other nations once we take care of all Americans.
The president also addressed vaccine hesitancy, citing some promising statistics. He says this will be a focus of his administration, and they will work to expand access and make more steps toward vaccine equity. In less than 10 minutes, how our own local officials are working to do the exact same thing.
And the virus is still out there and still spreading. Well, overall, new infections are trending lower in Florida. The state still reported another 3,000 cases today. The state also reports another 39 people have died from complications of the virus. To date, more than 35,000 Floridians have lost their lives. Globally, there have been more cases of COVID-19 reported in the last 2 weeks than during the first 6 months of the pandemic. That's according to the World Health Organization, which says half of last week's new infections were in India and Brazil. The WHO is supplying equipment and supplies such as oxygen concentrators to India. It's also working to provide advice on how to provide care at home for people who are unable to secure a hospital bed. But here at home, Disney says it's encouraged by the progress of the vaccine rollout in our country and is making a big step towards a return to normalcy.
Yes, Stuart, the company just announced it's bringing back its college program, which has been inactive since the pandemic first began last spring. WESH 2's Amanda Dukes is live outside Disney right now. And Amanda, this impacts people across the nation.
It really does, and it is a sign that things are getting back to normal here at Walt Disney World, as they did announce today that they will be welcoming back college students from all over the world for the restart of their college program this summer. Now, the program was suspended last March after Disney was forced to close it due to the pandemic. Students who were in the program at the time were forced to leave early and return home. Disney is now inviting those participants, along with new ones, to reapply. In a written statement, Disney said, "The Disney College Program has always been a source of optimism and pride for our company, with participants who bring new ideas, talents, and perspectives to the table. While that won't change, we are evolving our Disney programs to reflect the new world around us." Now, among the changes, when the program does restart this summer, participants will move in to the newly built Flamingo Crossings Village. It's a resort-style apartment complex located in Winter Garden, just off State Road 429. Disney also said it will be implementing the same health and safety protocols it has in its theme parks to the college program. Now, Disney officials said as more cast members are brought back along with the Disney College program, they hope to release further details about other Disney international programs and also the Disney Culinary program coming up in the near future. Live outside Walt Disney World, Amanda Dukes, WESH 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you. And WESH.com is your hub for everything you need to know about vaccination sites in your county. We also have the latest community updates on cases and safety measures.
Now to Seminole County, where one person was injured when a train collided with a dump truck. That collision happened on Valentine Way when troopers say a dump truck pulled out from a stop directly into the path of a train. That dump truck driver was taken to the hospital but will survive. No one on that train was hurt.
The niece of longtime Orlando City Commissioner Regina Hill was shot and killed over the weekend. Tavia King was 16 years old and a student at Evans High School. Orlando police say she was shot in the parking lot of the Wawa at John Young Parkway and Silver Star Road. Police say she had just come from a party and was getting a ride home when it happened. Commissioner Hill says her niece was an honor student and wanted to be a veterinarian.
What about the kids that sat next to TT when they went back to school this morning? and she no longer will be in that seat giggling and laughing and loving with them.
Police say they do not believe the teenager was the target. More than 24 migrants from a boat that came ashore today are in U.S. custody. Border Patrol says the boat landed on Boynton Beach. 29 people were on board at the time. Officials tell us the migrants were detained but did not release any more details about that group. They also did not say where the boat may have come from. President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden are back on the road today for the first leg of their tour to promote the president's economic agenda.
West News' Jim Payne joins us with what may be a hard sell on the nearly $4 trillion infrastructure, jobs, and families plan before going to Congress. Jim.
Yeah, today the Bidens made a stop in Virginia to tour an elementary school and an HVAC workshop at a community college. But the rubber may really meet the road in places like Yorktown, where excitement for the president's proposals for his next 100 days in office is met with concerns about its hefty price tag. President Biden is hoping Congress passes his $2 trillion infrastructure package aimed at rebuilding roads, bridges, and airports and promote renewable energy across the country. A separate $1.8 trillion American Families Plan would also expand access to education, childcare, and paid family leave. Some who support it say they're already taking advantage of the free preschool program. Others say it goes way too far.
The prices of these preschool programs are ridiculous, and I do feel strongly that each child deserves to have education.
We paid for our children to go to college. My husband saved for our children to go to college. Now, the money that he has saved, they're going to increase taxes on the top 1%.
President Biden still faces major opposition from Republicans when it comes to his infrastructure deal. They say Democrats are stretching its meaning, and some voters agree. The president says one way to pay for it is by raising taxes on corporations. A tax hike will likely not reach individuals. President Biden believes common ground can be found on the issues across the aisles. Back to you, Stuart and Summer.
Jim, thank you. Local woman is locked up tonight, accused of shooting her boyfriend.
Yeah, but the already married woman is calling it an accident, what authorities say led to this love triangle shooting, and why there's already a big courtroom debate over what the suspect was ultimately charged with.
Plus, on the heels of recent deadly shootings by police, there's a renewed call for change. Now, leaders on the federal level are preparing to tackle police reform in America.
But first, a slowdown in demand. Just as the governor lifts local COVID-19 orders, some local officials fear we may never reach herd immunity if more people don't show up for vaccines.
And right now we're watching showers and storms coming up by 4. East breeze working inland. We'll have a nice little collision going on here in a little bit. I'm going to break that down for you. Time it out hour by hour and county by county, all straight ahead.
Tonight, roughly 41% of the state's population is at least partially vaccinated. Just under 9 million people have shown up for a shot in our state so far.
And there's about 6.3 million people who are considered fully vaccinated. Roughly 29% of the state has turned out for all required doses, but millions more would need to do so to reach herd immunity. Still, local leaders say they intend to do everything they can to bring us closer to what may qualify as herd immunity, and that includes getting the vaccine directly to people who need it.
West News' Ed McDaniel is live at the Oviedo Mall right now, where there's been a lot less business lately.
Well, you know, the eligibility age was 65 and over. Appointments were snapped up quick here at the Oviedo Mall and really all over Central Florida. But as the eligibility age has gone down, younger, and as time has gone by, fewer people are showing up for shots all around Central Florida. And the temporary pause in the J&J didn't help.
As soon as we saw the Johnson & Johnson go on pause, we noticed immediately that we had an incredible decrease in the demand for appointments.
It's a trend local officials are trying to turn around. Daily vaccination numbers tracked statewide were climbing in early April from week to week. But the closer we got to early May, fewer people getting first doses, and more people are overdue for second doses. Some of it driven by college-age adults wrapping up the semester.
They've heard the side effects and things like that. We can't be bogged down with a fever for a day when we're trying to write a paper, we're trying to complete those finals and things like that. We get it.
Harris says they're working to make getting the vaccine as convenient as possible. Remote sites at offices, employers clamoring to reach herd immunity, which right now looks tough to achieve.
It's going to be hard for us to get to herd immunity, and I certainly hope that we do. I certainly hope that we don't get another mutation of this virus.
We just recently launched the I Got My Shot campaign.
The Orange County Convention Center stopped first doses over the weekend and is now doing second shots only, hoping the thousands overdue for that second shot will show up.
There's a benefit for one shot, but you want to get that full, complete benefit by getting your second dose and thus completing your series.
Right now, both Seminole and Orange County sit at roughly 44% of eligible people vaccinated. They hope to get shots to many, many more people to slow community spread, saying employers can ask for a mobile site to pay them a visit.
And establish a mobile vaccination event at your restaurant, your hotel, your storefront, or your organization.
And as an example, in Orange County, they will have a mobile vaccination site at Lake Eola near the band shell on Wednesday. And in Seminole County, they're going to have a mobile vaccination site at the Central Florida Zoo on Saturday. There you can get a COVID-19 vaccine and free admission to the zoo. Reporting live in Seminole County, Dave McDaniel, West 2 News.
Okay, Dave, thank you. In New York, the governor announced today some coronavirus restrictions are also being lifted, like nonstop transit coming back to the Big Apple. Subway's 24/7 schedule returns on May 17th. 2 days later, most COVID-19 capacity restrictions will be lifted throughout the tri-state region. That applies for areas like retail, gyms, Broadway, and museums. Curfews for indoor restaurants and bars end on May 31st. The 6-foot social distancing rule will remain in place until further notice.
Weather-wise, you cannot ignore the heat, but for some, it may go away, at least for a little while, because right now we are monitoring some showers and storms in our area. Let's go ahead and get you over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Tony Minolfi for the details. Tony.
Boy, I'll tell you what, afternoon highs today, 90 to 95 degrees. Down towards the attractions, you can see the clouds beginning to thicken on up. 92 right now, south wind 10 to 15. You can see the Lake Okeechobee breeze getting going. And here in central Florida, we're watching now the approaching East Coast sea breeze. There's the west breeze, and in between we've got some developing showers and storms right now to the west of Kissimmee, over towards Citrus Ridge. This is going to kind of pull up towards Disney and then over towards Dr. Phillips here in just a little bit. There's Disney, there's Windermere. You can see this storm right now trying to flank more actually towards the west here with the last couple of images, but we'll watch the 429 as this continues to lift to the north, and then a little bit later on as the East Coast sea breeze works in and collides with this, we'll see a little bit of an uptick in the showers and storms. Seeing a few showers popping up back towards Sorrento. Heathrow had a couple showers here. That's now lifting to the north-northeast at about 10 miles an hour. And then farther to the north, notice the showers here developing coming out of Marion County and pushing back towards Flagler County. So we'll watch the trends on the radar here as we get deeper into the evening. Rainfall today, biggest winter thus far, Galloway, Gibsonia, on into northern Polk County there. Between about a half an inch and about an inch of rain. So as these storms are developing, it'll start to cool a couple of these communities off here, and that's great news because it feels like temperatures at many locales this afternoon have been running 95 to 105. Let's take a look at the wind speeds. A little bit of a breeze here, especially east of I-4 back towards the coast this evening. You can see the showers and the storms just kind of moving gradually back towards I-95 by the time we get to 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. Not expecting anything severe, but you want to take the rain, especially after a very hot day today. The soils tend to dry out fairly quickly. You can see a couple of pockets of the darker shades of blue and a little bit of purple. That's a half an inch to about an inch of rain in a very short period of time. So showers and storms heading east here. By 9 o'clock, it's going to be a muggy night tonight. 11 o'clock temperature coming in at about 78. Overnight low temperatures out the door early tomorrow morning. 68 in Ocala, 72 Sanford, 73 back towards St. Cloud. As we take a look now at futurecast here, could be a little bit of patchy fog west of I-4. We heat things up very rapidly again tomorrow, and then by the afternoon we'll pop a couple of afternoon showers and storms, once again favoring I-95 and points back towards Brevard County. Temps tomorrow just like today, 90 to about 95 degrees. Records that could be in jeopardy: Sanford, Leesburg, and even potentially Melbourne. We could make a run at that 94. Speaking of 94, the last time we hit 94 in Orlando, you got to go back to September 22nd of 2020. So again, heat safety tips: hydrate, take the breaks, Cool off if you've been outside. If you're feeling the effects of the heat, just get into the AC. Launch forecast for the Falcon 9 looks pretty good. We'll watch the late day clouds. Other than that, though, the upper winds threat there does look low. So let's take a look now at your updated 7-day forecast. A front comes in on Thursday. Setting the stage for some glorious weather for Friday and Saturday. We'll watch the showers and storms on Thursday, but heading into Sunday for Mother's Day, it's going to be hot for moms. We'll talk more about that in an extended forecast when I see you at 5:48.
Looks like some good rain, Tony. Thank you. Coronavirus patients turned away from hospitals. An increasingly dire situation in India as that nation grapples with the world's worst COVID outbreak. The international effort to provide help to a country where some hospitals are even urging patients to find their own supplies of oxygen. But first, somewhere over the Pacific Ocean, an airline crew added one person to the head count on a flight heading to Hawaii. A little boy is going to have an interesting story to tell for the rest of his life.
Yes, he was born somewhere over the Pacific Ocean on the way to Hawaii from Utah. The vacation flight to paradise turned into a trip so many will never forget for obvious reasons. This happened last week, and lucky for the family, by sheer luck, 4 medical experts happened to be on board to help.
I don't know how a patient gets so lucky as to have 3 neonatal intensive care nurses on board the same flight when she is in emergency labor.
Wow. For 3 hours, all 4 medical professionals on board kept the premature newborn stable, and they were able to touch down. The new mom decided to let Dr. Glenn choose part of her son's name because of it. With help from his daughter, he picked Kaimana, which means power of the sea.
It's a long name. It's Raymond, Kaimana, Wade, Kobe, Lavaki, Monga.
Did you ever expect this to happen?
Oh my God. Pretend we're all smiling.
The nurses have been checking up on the new mother while she recovers. She was flying late, Stu.
Here's the trick part, Summer. For what I read earlier, she didn't even know she was pregnant.
What? I didn't read that part.
We'll be right back after the break.
WESH 2 News continues.
A married woman is accused of shooting and wounding her boyfriend at her Deltona home this weekend.
45-year-old Amy Peltier was arrested Sunday in charge of attempted first-degree murder, but as WESH 2's Claire Metz reports now, the suspect claims it was an accident.
You are here charged with attempted first-degree murder, firearm.
Amy Peltier tearfully shook her head no as the charge was read, accused of shooting her boyfriend in her Deltona home Sunday. According to the arrest report, Peltier's husband is aware of her relationship with the victim. The victim and his wife actually lived with the couple several years earlier, but officials say Mrs. Peltier told her husband something about her boyfriend that enraged him. According to the report, the suspect told investigators her husband wanted to harm the victim, but she was able to get the firearms and knife away from him. Suspect Peltier told deputies her husband left and her boyfriend came over. According to the report, as the suspect spoke with her boyfriend, she grabbed one of the firearms, held the firearm in her right hand while talking with him, and then heard it go off. Peltier allegedly called a friend and said it was an accident. That friend called 911.
She was crying. I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I shot him." I said, "What do you mean you shot him?" She said it was an accident.
Her court-appointed attorney argued a charge of attempted first-degree murder requires criminal intent, and he says details in the arrest report don't support that.
She stated she did not mean to fire the weapon and did not immediately know she did.
The judge gave the state 72 hours to come back with more probable cause information. Meantime, though, she set Peltier's bond at $75,000. The victim managed to get outside the house where rescuers found him with a gunshot wound to the lower back. He underwent surgery, though the injury is not believed to be life-threatening. In Volusia County, Claire Metz, WESH 2 News.
Now, if the suspect does post bond, she can have no contact with the victim. The victim has not been identified.
Today, Andrew Brown Jr., the man shot and killed by deputies in North Carolina as they were serving a warrant, was laid to rest.
Andrew Brown. Say his name. Andrew Brown. Say his name.
Family, friends, and protesters say they will not rest until justice is served. Last week, a judge denied media requests to make the body cam videos from that day public, putting it off at least 30 days, fueling frustration and skepticism about what happened.
The public has a right to know what governmental officials do in their name in the execution of search warrants and arrest warrants.
As the investigation continues, so does the push for change on a national scale. And the calls for change come from Capitol Hill to small towns across the country. There are conversations about policing following a recent series of officer-involved shootings.
While some cities have taken action, we have yet to see legislative changes on the federal level. West News' Bree Jackson is in Washington with the efforts to re-examine policing.
Lawmakers say they're hopeful they can reach a bipartisan deal on police reform soon. Meanwhile, researchers are suggesting alternative solutions that could help de-escalate some common encounters with police officers.